I've never really been the kind of guy who needs the spotlight. I'm 36, I keep to myself, I do my job, I show up when I say I will. I'm the kind of person who returns shopping carts and fixes stuff before people know it's broken. Quiet. Predictable. Maybe too much so. In my family, that made me dependable, not memorable. My sister, Lila, she's the opposite. She walks into a room and everyone looks. She's smart, charming, beautiful in a way that makes people soften around her, like they're already agreeing with whatever she hasn't even said yet. Growing up, I used to think that was magic. Now, I'm not so sure. Our mom's the same way. Maybe not the charm part, but the control part. She's the kind of woman who talks in half smiles and "I'm fine" who can make you feel like you just spilled red wine on the rug even when you haven't moved. She loves hard, she really does, but only if you follow the rules. And the rules change depending on Lila. A week before Lila's engagement dinner, I was driving home from work, just zoning out on the highway, when my mom called. Her voice came through the Bluetooth, soft and syrupy like it used to sound when I wasn't feeling well and she still cared. "You know we love you," she said, and I remember that exact moment because it made me smile. Genuinely smile. Just, be mindful. It's her big night. I didn't know what she meant at the time. I thought maybe she was worried I'd bring up Dad, or tease Lila about how fast everything was moving. She always said I could be a little too blunt. So I told her, "I'm not planning to make a scene." She laughed a little, light, almost sweet, and said, "I know. I just wanted to say that. It's going to be a beautiful night." I drove the rest of the way home humming to some song on the radio, picturing a backyard strung with lights, Lila glowing in one of those soft pink dresses she always wears. I figured I'd show up a little early to help set up. I'm always the one they call when they need tables moved or the grill cleaned or someone to pick up ice. Then I got the text. It came 2 days later. Just after lunch, while I was at my desk eating leftover pasta. It was from Lila. No greeting. Just a gray message bubble that read, "We just think it's better if you sit this one out. For harmony." I stared at it so long my food went cold. I reread it 10, 15 times, thinking maybe I'd missed something, some sarcasm, some joke. I waited for the second message. Something like, "Just kidding," or "LOL." But nothing came. I texted back, "Wait, what?" She didn't respond for almost an hour. When she finally did, it just said, "It's not personal. We just want the focus to be on good energy. You know how tense things can get." Tense? What was tense? I hadn't fought with anyone. I hadn't raised my voice in years. I show up, I say congratulations, I shake hands. I don't drink too much, I don't talk politics. If anything, I fade into the wallpaper. I tried to call her. She let it go to voicemail. So I called Mom. Her voice was lighter this time. Too light. "Oh honey," she said. "Don't take it the wrong way. We just thought, you've been under stress lately. It might be good for you to have a quiet night." That's when I felt it, that weird detachment, like I was watching the conversation happen from outside my own head. I asked her, "Did I do something?" "No," she said quickly, too quickly. "No, of course not. But sometimes it's not about what people do. It's just about energy. Presence. We want it to be peaceful." I didn't say anything for a second. I just listened to her breathe on the other end, waiting for me to agree, to make it easy for her. So I did. I said, "Okay. I don't want to ruin the mood." I could feel her relief through the phone. "Thank you," she said, soft again. "You're such a good son." That word sat weird in my stomach. Good. Like obedient. The night of the dinner, I didn't go anywhere. I sat at home, just me and a frozen pizza, scrolling through streaming services but not actually watching anything. Around 8, I opened Instagram. I shouldn't have, but I did. Lila had posted a picture, our mom, and her fiancé, all standing under a string of white lights. The caption said something like, "Surrounded by love, family, and good vibes only." My stomach turned. I looked at that picture and realized something strange. There was no empty space where I should have been. No one even looked like they were waiting for someone to arrive. They looked complete. That's what got me. Not that they left me out, but that they didn't look like they missed me. The next morning, I stared at my phone for a long time before I even got out of bed. Lila had posted more pictures, carousels this time. Close-ups of candles, laughter, her fiancé holding a glass of champagne like he was making a toast. Mom beaming beside her like she'd just watched her daughter win an Oscar. Every caption felt like a little shove. A perfect night with the people who mean the most. Only love, only light. Thank you to everyone who made this magical. I kept waiting for a photo of me. Even just a mention. Some sideways acknowledgement that I existed. But I wasn't in any of them. No tag, no story, no throwback. I didn't exist in that version of the night. I poured a whiskey at noon. Not something I usually do. But that silence in the apartment, the absence of footsteps, of voices, of clinking glasses, was loud. It felt like I was listening to a party happening in the next room through a wall I couldn't break. I clicked on a picture of the three of them, Lila, Mom, and our cousin Amelia, who'd flown in from Seattle. They were all sitting around this big flower arrangement. It was massive. Roses, hydrangeas, orchids, rich, overflowing. I zoomed in and realized I knew that florist. Not because I'd used them, but because Lila had. Months ago. On my company card. That detail hadn't clicked yet. Not then. At the time, it just stung that the flowers were so deliberate. Like they'd planned every detail. Like my absence had been accounted for long before the night even started. I pulled up an old photo after that. It was Dad's last birthday before he passed. Just the three of us, Lila, me, and Mom. We were at his favorite steakhouse, and for once everyone had gotten along. Lila had leaned into me for the picture. Mom had her hand on my shoulder. I used to love that photo. I remember thinking back then, this is what it's supposed to be like. We're okay. But now, that photo felt like a lie. Not just because they'd cut me out of this one night, but because the older I got, the more I started to realize how many times they'd quietly stepped around me. I remembered Lila calling me in a panic 2 years ago when she couldn't make rent. I paid it without hesitation. She told me, I'll pay you back in a few weeks. She never did. I remembered Mom's outpatient surgery last year. She didn't ask anyone else to take off work, just me. I sat in that cold waiting room for 6 hours, holding a tote bag full of magazines and ginger chews, because that's what she wanted. And when the nurse came out afterward, she looked surprised I was even there. There were dozens of moments like that. Quiet favors. Things no one saw, things no one posted about. I never asked for credit. But this felt like more than forgetfulness. It felt like erasure. Like they'd been easing me out of the picture frame for a while, gently, so I wouldn't notice. I scrolled through the comments. So many hearts, so many, you look stunning, S. One of Mom's friends had commented, you raised such a beautiful soul, Margie. I don't know why that one hit me so hard. Maybe because she had raised a beautiful soul. And maybe because she didn't seem all that interested in the one she'd raised in me. The whiskey burned less with each sip. I remember getting up to grab the bottle, sitting back down, and just watching the pictures roll in. Lila dancing with her fiancé. Mom clinking glasses. Amelia laughing. Not one of them noticed I hadn't liked a single post. Not one of them checked in. I sat in the dark with the volume off, staring at my screen, wondering if I was the one who made it weird all along. Maybe I was too quiet, too careful, too easy to ignore. Maybe I do ruin things. Maybe I'm just the background guy. And maybe that's exactly how they wanted it. The sickest part is how long it took me to realize it. I wasn't looking for anything. I'd already swallowed the humiliation, let it settle somewhere in the back of my throat like a pill I didn't want but knew I had to take. I'd told myself it was just one night, just a miscommunication, just them being them. I'd almost made peace with it. Then I found the invoice. At work, I was catching up on some expense audits. I manage logistics for a local event company, nothing glamorous, just vendor bookings, card authorizations, a lot of spreadsheets. We've got a couple corporate cards for overflow purchases, and I've loaned mine out more than once. Usually to help someone out in a pinch. That's who I am. Months ago, Lila had asked to use it for a work thing when her personal card got frozen. Just a quick expense, she'd said. I'll Venmo you the same day. She never did. And I never followed up. Because that's what you do for family, right? So there I was, scanning through monthly breakdowns, checking flagged charges. I opened one from last month, vendor ID I didn't recognize, and clicked into the PDF. It was a floral invoice. Delivery to a private home. Itemized. $1,050, custom floral arrangement, family centerpiece. The name of the florist hit me first. Then the date. Then the delivery address. I froze. I knew that address. It was Lila's fiancé's parents' place, the same one from the Instagram pictures. The arrangement they were all gathered around. The one I'd zoomed in on. I sat there with my fingers still on the keyboard, my eyes locked on the phrase, family centerpiece. It hit me like a slap. They'd literally gathered around something I unknowingly paid for. Smiling. Toasting. Laughing. Like I was never meant to be there. That word, family, felt sharp. Mocking. I started digging. I don't even know what I was looking for, but once I opened that gate, I couldn't stop. Over the next hour, I traced at least 15 charges, all linked to that same card. A dinner reservation at a high-end steakhouse downtown. A suite booking at the Parkwood Hotel. Ride shares, manicures, even a makeup artist. All around the same time. My heart sank lower with every line item. These weren't work emergencies. This was the celebration. All of it. The whole damn night. And I paid for it. Without being asked. Without being told. While I sat home drinking and wondering if maybe I was the one who ruined things just by existing. I kept trying to rationalize it. Maybe they meant to pay me back. Maybe they forgot. Maybe it's just an oversight. But that invoice, it was submitted under my name. That florist thought I was the one throwing the party. I could barely breathe. My mouth went dry. My hands were cold. They didn't just exclude me. They used me. Quietly. Without shame. They let me think I was the problem, while they built a perfect little evening on my dime. It wasn't a mistake. It was planned. I leaned back in my chair, blinking up at the ceiling like maybe that would help the heat drain out of my face. But it didn't go away. It just built. Anger, confusion, humiliation, all boiling together. The kind of rage that makes you feel stupid for ever having trusted anyone in the first place. I closed my laptop. I couldn't look at another number. That night, I didn't drink. I didn't scroll. I didn't talk to anyone. I just sat in the quiet, trying to figure out when exactly I became the guy it was okay to use like this. When did I stop being a person and start being a utility? A background character who shows up to fix things but isn't allowed to be seen. Because that's what this was. I wasn't excluded for energy. I wasn't left out for peace. I was edited out. Because I didn't fit the story they wanted to tell. I waited 3 days before I called her. Not because I needed time to cool off, though maybe I told myself that, but because I was still hoping there was some explanation that would make this feel less cruel. Some missing piece. Some accident. I kept circling back to the idea that maybe they just didn't think it through. But the truth was already there. Cold and itemized. So when I finally hit call on Lila's contact, I already knew how it was going to end. She answered with that breezy voice she saves for strangers and interviews. Hey, you. I said, hey, trying to sound normal, casual, even though my chest felt like it was wrapped in barbed wire. I was actually just thinking about calling you, she said. We haven't caught up in a bit. I kept my tone steady. Yeah. I figured we should talk. There was a pause. The kind that makes your heart skip once and then beat twice as hard. Is this about the dinner? She asked, like I just brought up an old TV show we both forgot we watched. I almost let her take it there. I almost let the conversation drift into passive regrets and, it wasn't like that. But I couldn't. Not anymore. I said it plainly, you know I paid for that night, right? Silence. The line went dead quiet for a beat, then two. She said, what do you mean? I didn't raise my voice. I just let the truth sit there. The florist. The hotel. The ride shares. The dinner. You used my card. You never told me. She tried to laugh. I heard it crack. Oh my God, that was so long ago. I thought I told you. I meant to Venmo you. You didn't, I said. Because you weren't going to. Her voice tightened. Okay, well, it's not like you needed the money. That was it. The exact sentence. The one that split something inside me right down the middle. Not, I'm sorry. Not, that wasn't fair. Just that. It's not like you needed the money. I almost couldn't breathe. I asked her, is that how this works now? If I can afford it, I don't deserve to be asked. She got defensive fast. You're twisting this. It wasn't malicious. We thought it would be better without tension. What tension? I asked, finally letting my voice rise. I didn't do anything. I show up. I help. I pay. And you still left me out. She didn't have an answer. Just a shaky inhale. Then she said, it wasn't just me. Mom said. Of course. Mom. I said, let's get her on. Another pause. Then she added her to the call. I could feel it before I even heard her voice, the shift in tone, the passive smile sliding into place like a mask. Sweetheart, Mom said, I'm sorry you're feeling hurt. That was never the intention. I stayed quiet. She went on, we were trying to make things smooth. Lila's engagement was a sensitive time. I asked her flat out, why didn't anyone just talk to me? She hesitated. Because we knew how you'd react. That hit harder than anything else. You mean like this, I said. Like someone who doesn't want to be lied to. Mom sighed. Don't ruin this over a few dollars. You're always so dramatic. I could actually feel my jaw tighten. My fingers curled into fists even though no one could see. It wasn't about the money. It was about being erased. I didn't say anything else. I just opened my banking app while we were still on the phone and cut the card off. Right there. Mid-conversation. They'd already spent what they wanted. There was nothing left for me to give. Lila said my name, sharp this time. Are you serious? I didn't answer. I hung up. I didn't send a follow-up message. Didn't explain. Didn't try to make them understand. Because they already did. That call wasn't a misunderstanding clearing up. It was confirmation. They knew exactly what they'd done. And they did it anyway. Not because I'd done something wrong. Not because I was dangerous or difficult or intense. But because they didn't need me to be there to use me. A few weeks passed. I didn't reach out. Neither did they. The silence wasn't loud or dramatic. It was just, there. Like a door that had quietly closed without anyone slamming it. I kept going to work. Kept paying my bills. Kept doing what I've always done. But I felt hollow. Like I'd misplaced something I couldn't quite name. I hadn't told anyone what happened. Not really. It felt too pathetic to say out loud. They threw a party, I paid for it, and they told me not to come. I couldn't even make it sound less humiliating with sarcasm. It was just bare. Then one afternoon, I got a text from my cousin Marcus. He was in town briefly, had flown in from Denver for work and wanted to grab coffee before heading back. I said sure. I hadn't seen him in years, and honestly, I needed to feel normal around someone who wasn't wired into that mess. We met at a little place near my apartment. No fanfare. Just two guys catching up over drip coffee and crumbly scones. For a while, we talked about his job, his girlfriend, the weather in Colorado. It felt easy. Then he brought it up. Out of nowhere. That engagement dinner was beautiful, man. You really made it something special. I looked up from my coffee. What? He smiled, like he was complimenting a surprise party I threw. The whole thing. It had your name all over it. Classy, low-key, meaningful. The speech was amazing. I blinked. What speech? Marcus paused, confused. The one you sent in. The thing Lila read at the end. The whole room got quiet. People were tearing up. Everyone said it was the perfect blessing. I just stared at him. He kept going, not seeing it yet. I thought it was sweet that you bowed out so she could shine. Very selfless. Some guys would have made it about them, but you, he trailed off. Wait, you did send that, right? I sat back in my chair. My mouth opened, but no words came out at first. I didn't write a speech, I said, finally. I didn't bow out. He frowned. What do you mean? They told me not to come. Said my energy wasn't right for the night. Marcus blinked. What? That's not what they told everyone. I shook my head slowly. They said I was sick. And that I sent a written blessing instead. He just stared at me. Holy sh. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because there was no other reaction left in me. So that was it. That was the final piece. They hadn't just left me out. They'd replaced me. They'd made up a version of me who was thoughtful, gracious, supportive, from a distance. They faked my voice. Told a room full of people that I was quietly cheering from the sidelines. That I chose to stay away for harmony. They built a lie, and then they toasted to it. Marcus sat there, stunned. I'm so sorry, man. I had no idea. I nodded. Yeah. I didn't either. We didn't say much after that. What was there to say? After he left, I sat in my car for a while. The parking lot was quiet. The sky was doing that late afternoon shift, starting to dim at the edges. And I thought about that moment on the phone, when my mom said, "You're such a good son." She didn't mean me. She meant the version of me they told people about. The one who never asked questions. Who sent flowers and blessings and stayed conveniently out of frame. They didn't just cut me out. They rewrote me. And then they raised a glass to the version of me they could live with.